Yes, hi. So my name is Philippe Grenier. I'm a director from Montreal, and I directed the film Muscat.
Welcome, Philippe. I wanted to start with the title. What does that word mean?
Yes, so the first version of my film was set in Oman, in the city of Muscat. So I chose originally Oman because it's a conservative country where the penal code is still very condemns same-sex relationship, which was very rich for the script. That being said, we came up against too many rejection and censorship when we tried to started the pre-production in Oman. So I did not obtain the permit to shoot this film there. So I had to rewrite part of the film and contextualize it somewhere else. So we turned to Morocco for similar reason to the one that led me to base this film in Oman. Homosexuality still divides public opinion and is still punishable. But we found some great collaborators who wanted to tell the story with us. So I thought about changing the film title, but I wanted to keep it like as a way to remember the film journey. And there was a scene cut in edit where we hear Louise mention that their next travel destination will be Oman. And of course, because of the final scene, we can assume it will not go to Oman. But and I like to imagine Louis' perfume could be with a muscat aroma, and Samir is intoxicating with his odor. I don't know, but yes, that's
The climate in Morocco is also fairly restrictive. You're saying, did
yeah.
that make it difficult to get a cast and crew on board, or was this? Did people come to this because of that tension?
Yes, that's a good question. It was a great challenge to make this film in Morocco. Yes. First of all, the casting was hard. We quickly realized that we had to find our lead actor in Montreal because it would be hard to find a teenager in Morocco who will agree to play the role of Samir. And even in Montreal, several actors declined our invitation because they were too uncomfortable with the film teams. But that being said, the whole team who worked on Muscat in Morocco was extremely open and welcoming. So we met extraordinary people, and it was one of the best shoots of my life. We had to work, of course, with an alternative version of the script to allow us to shoot in certain places. Obviously, all the people involved in the film, in front of the camera and behind, were aware of what we were shooting, and were full open to the project and super happy to be part of it. But yeah, homosexuality is still a very big issue in Morocco. And, I had like a pop-up warning when I tried to open Tinder in Morocco because it was like, warning, it's not a safe place to date. And many friends had warned me before that it could be dangerous to date men in Morocco. So it was like strange because we had like a lot of support, but also we kind of feel the tension still about this reality there.
So the villagers, for example, the extras, were not fully aware of what.
Yeah, no, they were aware of that. Yeah, the casting director. Yeah, we came to a small village, and all the extras came from that village. So we wanted to make sure that everybody knew what they were shooting and what they were in. So yeah, they all read the real version of the script. It was more like for the permits and to shoot like in the fish market and in some places. Of course, the prayer scene is not in a real mosque, so we filmed that in a non like in a house, and it was not like a religious space. So yeah, because that will have it could be hard to obtain a permit to shoot there, but we did not want to trick like a false pretense to shoot in that area. So we did do like a little trick to shoot in some streets and some in the fish market, but elsewhere we did work with the real script.
For me, and I loved this film, but for me, it really centered on Nassim, who genuinely wants to protect his brother. I mean, I don't, he's, and when we see that scene of the crowd at the end, Nassim isn't wrong. He really needs to step up to protect his brother, and that to me was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I think Nassim character is very interesting because he may appear to be like very firm and strict, but I think all his actions are guided by a real desire to protect his little brother. And I think Nassim loves Samir deeply, and I think he has guessed his homosexuality a long time ago.
Yeah.
But this unspoken reality confronts him in his deepest values. So without being able to change Samir, Nassim wants to silence some of his behaviors, like we've seen in the small comment he makes about the way he's holding his fork or something like that.
Yes.
And he pushed him to repress his sexual orientation. Yeah, I think he did all that out of love, and that's a really interesting character. I think so. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, sure, sure. I thought the opening shot was an exact encapsulation of what your film is, right? Where
Yeah,
Samir open on that gasping fish in the net. He's trapped. He's
yeah,
suffocating. And then
exactly.
Samir looks up and there's a plane going by. So there's suffocation here and there's freedom somewhere else. And who knows how
Yeah.
you get from A to B.
Yeah, I wanted to give like a clue of Samir's fate right from the opening shot of the film, and that's great that you've noticed it. Like he's like a fish trap in its net, and Samir himself is a prisoner of a secret that is suffocating him. And also, I wanted to make a shot that echoes the last shot of the film, the one before the credits, in which we see Samir surrounded by all the people from his village, and he's trying to breathe because he's feeling guilt, and he knows he cannot live his true self in this environment. So he himself is trapped in an environment that prevents him from being completely honest with himself and with his
Yeah.
family and his entourage. So yeah, he's like the fish from the opening shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know this is a short film? So obviously we're getting this snapshot of in time. But let me ask, just because I care about your characters, what do you think the future has to hold for Samir? What?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I think he will live. He will leave his village. Like he's trying to learn English to escape this reality. And the last shot of him like walking like outside of his village, I think it's like a small like a small way to show that is maybe he's gonna tell the truth to the policeman and he's maybe leaving his family. So I wanted to let that to interpretation of the spectator, the public. Yes, so I think he's leaving. Is well, I hope that for him.
I hope so too. There are the introduction of the couple, and do we know where they're from specifically, or just
Well,
European?
they're from Montreal. I think their accent. They're from Quebec, so I am myself from Quebec. So I wanted to, yeah, I can talk a little bit more about that because the film was actually inspired by a family story told by
Hmm.
my grandmother. Like all the ending of the film is based on the heartbreaking travel story of her distant cousin. So I was really captivated by this story and with this great narrative ending because all the end is like a true story in itself. So I began to write the script from the perspective of the two Western tourists who were victim of incommunicability in an emergency situation abroad. It was not in Morocco, but it was somewhere else where they could not speak the language. But when I was writing the story, I found it like necessary to important well to tell the story through the eyes of a fictional character closer to me and closer to some social issues that affects me. And I did not have like all the details of the accident they occur like on the beach somewhere else. So I decided to write it from the perspective of a fictional character. So incommunicability of the Quebec tourists inspired me to write about the tribulation of a homosexual teenager who's unable himself to communicate with his family. And yes, so this is the character that quickly guided me writing the story, and Samuel became like the main character of this story finally. So.
Because the couple, that is, are not especially sympathetic. The way they treat Samir's family in the fish market comes off as kind of superior, and the ugly Western Westerner tradition. It makes it a little harder to sympathize with them.
Yeah, I think it's true, and I did, and they were worse in the before the edit. We kind of, but I wanted like to. It was important because it was important for me to in this negotiation scene where we see like this incommunicability. Sometimes when people travel and there's like a bargain, and it could be well, I don't know how to say this nicely, but yes, some tourists sometimes when they go in another country, they try to negotiate, and they don't fully respect like the people of in certain market. And I live some of when I go to Asia, and I was really aware of people not treating nicely the people from the small market and everything. So that experience also inspired me to write this scene where the tourists try to negotiate. And I feel we needed like this scene to love more Nassim and Samir and try to understand better the perspective of the brother at the end of the story, and not feel too much sympathy for the tourists, but to care more about Nassim and his brother. So if the tourists were too friendly and we attach too much to them, I think it will have less impact at the end of the movie.
And I think it worked because you start after the gasping fish, you show us Nassim and Samir doing the work to bring the fish to the market. Yeah. And this is not a casual thing. Their livelihood is this. Yeah. And this outsider is trying to haggle them down. And it does show a lack of respect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people often tend to do that when they see bargain as a game or something. But for people, like this is their livelihood and their like way to make money. So you need to respect that also when you go to another country and you try to, not to bargain everything, and to not take that as a game, and
to look at it from a new perspective, to look at it from somebody else's point of view, which just universally is a great message to put out there.
Yeah, I think so.
Philippe, we were so happy to show this film. Thank you for giving me the time today to talk. We're grateful.
Thank you. Thanks to you. I was really honored to be part of your festival, and thank you very much. Yes.